evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining us for Get Into It with Taz and Chris. Now, we're going to start off with some lighthearted stuff and then progressively crescendo into the more serious stuff.
Right. Of course, but of course.
Because, don't get me wrong, I love y'all for all the stuff that y'all send. But sometimes it's a cornucopia. It is a hodgepodge. It is a potluck of things that y'all send. And I try to match things up as well as I can per show. But hey, now this first story, I remember hearing some buzzing about it on social media. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. There was an Instagram influencer who claimed that she was being followed and her children were potentially in danger of being kidnapped. Well, turns out that she was lying. So, according to the Argus Courier, the case has been delayed again for Instagram mom charged with lying to Petaluma police. If I mispronounced that, I'm so sorry. Um, Trial has been delayed again for Instagram influencer charged with lying to police after she accused a Petaluma Latino couple of attempting to kidnap her children. Katie Sorensen. Why do their last names always start with an S? The Sonoma mom, whose breathless tale of a thwarted kidnapping plot went viral on social media, was charged April 29th with falsely reporting a crime after police say her account of the December 2020 incident shifted in key areas. Excuse me. During a preliminary hearing Friday morning, Sorensen's San Francisco-based attorney Gail Schiffman sought to delay setting the case for trial, arguing that Petaluma police had not turned over key evidence, including body-worn camera footage. I am not prepared for trial, said Schiffman, who expressed frustration after what she characterized as multiple attempts to contact Petaluma officials regarding her request for information. I'm not sure what the problem is. Court Commissioner Laura Pasaglia, once again, my apologies if I mispronounced that, granted the extension, and she indicated a trial date would be set at the next scheduled hearing, that is 8:30 a.m. January 7th. This, y'all, okay. This woman, I remember the video. Clips of it. I didn't see the whole video, just saw clips of it. Was going through the store. And I don't know if this has happened to you, Chris, but it's happened to me several times in the store where I have my little list and I may need some of the same things as somebody else, and you run into them from aisle to aisle. Or you may leave one aisle and y'all both walk to the next aisle. Just coincidence, because it's a store. You're not the only person there for the items. This woman claimed that this Latino couple was tracking her in order to take her kids. Now, I guess the couple didn't find what they were looking for in the store and went to their car. Well, when they walked out to their car, they're getting in. I don't know if she went through checkout or whatever. She goes to her car, and they were parked semi close. From the video clips that I saw, they were like in a whole nother aisle, but kind of diagonal, where if you're looking, you would see them.
Right.
And they were trying to take my kids. But never in her videos did this couple even look her direction.
Okay.
I'm like, if they were trying to kidnap your kids, wouldn't they be watching you? Wouldn't they have been parked right next to you? Like,
Okay, so there was a fear of something. I wonder if she had been.
Yeah, because I'm like, that's weird.
I wonder if she had been abducted before.
And I'm like, and I don't know kidnappers that want to follow you around stores with obvious surveillance cameras.
And this other couple got groceries. I'm sure they wanted to steal groceries and a child.
I'm like, the children of social media influencers. It has been shown that they are the worst behaved. Baby girl, ain't nobody taking your kids. Ain't nobody taking your kids.
Mm-hmm.
But in not so happy news, you know what? I'm just gonna read this. Coming from AOL News, what is aphasia? Experts explain. Aphasia is a language disorder that results from damage to the left hemisphere of the brain. Jennifer Brello, a clinical associate professor at The Ohio State University, go Bucks, and director of OSU Aphasia Initiative, tells Yahoo Life it can cause difficulty using words and sentences, understanding language, reading, and writing. Now, why am I bringing this up? That is because recently, the wife of Bruce Willis came forward on Instagram and said that he would be stepping away from his career in entertainment because he's recently been diagnosed with aphasia and it's already beginning to affect him.
Wow. Well, I can't. I'm trying to think the last time he had been in public, like where we actually saw him speaking or doing anything active. It's
And and it's sad because it's classified as a type of dementia.
hmm
And it says aphasia is typically caused by an acquired brain injury such as a stroke, head trauma, tumor,
hmm
or neurodegenerative disease. The injury can damage the regions of the brain involved in language processing, which brings on the condition Dr. Yagan Pillai of Cleveland Clinic Center for Brain Health.
right. So they can basically know what they want, but verbally they can't communicate it, or it's broken up of what they're trying to want.
And asking them questions, they're not really comprehending it.
Yeah.
And as someone who has taken part in the care and had a family member that had early onset Alzheimer's and dementia,
hmm
it is challenging and it is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um,
I know
there
that.
were a lot of arguments caused within the family because it was my paternal grandmother.
hmm
And people were getting upset and in their feelings, like, I can't believe she doesn't remember me. She's not forgetting you on purpose.
hmm
And I had to keep telling them that. And don't argue with her over what day it is or who's alive and who's dead because you're both going to be hurt and frustrated. And there's no way to explain to her her condition.
Yeah, it's like trying to tell them, hey, I just told you 30 minutes ago what you're asking me. I mean, they're not going to know it. They're not. It's not going to register. You're
Yeah,
gonna you're
because
gonna get
like,
you're gonna get them upset thinking that they're deteriorating.
and now for me it's heartbreaking and my heart sincerely goes out to him and his family. Um, his current wife, his ex-wife, because they have one of those wonderful relationships that just because they got divorced does not mean that they hate
Right.
each other.
hmm
The children that he has, because my mother passed before my grandmother, well, both of my grandmothers.
hmm
Um, and my grandmother that was having cognitive issues,
hmm
family members were upset because they felt that she was recognizing me. She wasn't. She was seeing my mother.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I knew to go visit her, I needed to take my piercings out because, like, the first time she freaked out, she started calling me Diane, my mom's name. It was like, Diane, why did you do that to your face? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So I'd make a conscious effort, take out my piercings, different stuff. I had some frames that were very similar to my mom's eyeglass frames. I would wear those. I would,
Yeah.
dress a certain way because it was just easier on her.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's difficult, but now we know why we haven't seen him in so very long.
Well,
Urbane.
you do have a resemblance to your mom too.
Yeah. Urbane. Let me have friends. You already tried to set me on fire early.
Oh boy. And
Oh, you didn't want me to tell the people that you did that? Well,
he's
you did.
trying out for Incredibles 3.
Oh, he was definitely exhibiting Jack Jack vibes.
Yes.
Go
He's
play
also
in your house.
he's also good at being Karen at the window.
Okay, quick sidebar, you guys. If you follow me on Facebook, the video is up. But my oldest daughter drives a white car. So he was looking out the window, saw a white car pull up. He comes running down, and he can, on his hind legs, reach the doorknob at the front door. So he's grabbing it, like trying to turn it to open it to let her in. And I'm like, what is he doing? So I see there's a white car parked outside, and I'm like, oh, that's not her, baby. It's okay. It's okay. He doesn't believe me. So I take him outside on the leash to show him she's not here. This isn't her car. It just matches the color, like not even close to the make and model, not even close to the size of her car. And I'm like, she's not here. So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, I'm not being mean. I am not. She has to work. He walks off. He goes and sits in the bathroom on the mat.
Yep.
Are you climbing up me?
He's
Oh
good
my
at,
goodness.
He's good at pouting.
And he just pouted. So I gave him one of my leftover lamb chops from yesterday's dinner. He still didn't want to talk to me. I had to FaceTime this woman so she could talk to my dog so he would talk to me again. You done climbed up here on me.
We know who his buddy is then.
That's his bestie.
Yep. Yep.
That is his bestie.
Ain't no stopping them two.
What is this? Why are you under my arm? A day in the life with Taz. A day in the life with Taz. No, go play with your toy. How did you even get? No, let go of me.
You think that?
Go.
Okay. Think the tiny humans or something. Have one of the tiny humans have 4 legs.
Hey, I'm still in trouble for the We Don't Talk About Bruno Brownie dance this Saturday.
Oh.
Did you give them real food? Last time I checked, brownies was real food.
Yeah.
You said you wanted a babysitter. You didn't say you wanted a mature, responsible babysitter. You just said a babysitter. You get what you get.
we're over there that we're all unsupervised.
Yes. Yes, we are.
The adventure.
But we do have a clip coming out of New York State. This one's a doozy. Yeah, here we go.
Not sure if anyone else saw this, but New York State officials have reached a deal to use $850 million in public funds to help the Buffalo Bills build their new $1.4 billion stadium. While at the same time, the New York State budget cuts children and family service funding by $800 million. $850 million? $800 million. Doing a lot of good there, New York. Use those taxpayers' money. Putting professional sports stadiums ahead of children. Gotta love it.
Such football fans. Anything to keep a team.
But here's the thing. We have states across this country banning abortions, putting terms on abortions, but then cutting funding for the care of said children that have to be born.
Right. It's about the unborn. Because the born lose out. Once you come out, good luck.
Talk about the born supremacy. Like, jeez Louise.
Yep.
I'm glad that I had my children when I had my children and that they are now grown. Because I ain't no way. And I mean, I remember how ecstatic I was when I finally qualified for daycare assistance. Now, they didn't pay the complete cost of daycare. They didn't. And I really just needed daycare for my kids for like 3 hours because that was the one gap. I didn't have a family member that was available to watch the children until my mother retired and decided she was just going to keep her grandkids. But that little bit of weight lifted off of me. Y'all, the stress that came off of me having 4 children at that time. And daycare is expensive. I remember before my mother retired, there were women who, after coming back off maternity leave, started putting in their 2 weeks notice because it was so super expensive. Their whole checks were going just to daycare. And other people were like, oh, you don't have to quit. What about your husband's income? Evidently, if we could survive off of one income, you would have never met me because I would have never been at this job. Like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why did you get pregnant?
Oh.
Nobody tells you. Nobody tells you the actual cost of certain things. Because with two of my children, I could not completely nurse. I had to supplement with formula.
Yeah.
Coming off of, a child that I could completely nurse, I didn't know how much formula was.
Mm-hmm.
The sticker shock,
Oh yeah.
going to the grocery store, it's,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
I really started calculating stuff in my head, like,
Yeah.
and I know some mothers who have been driven to the point where they take cow's milk and literally add water to it
Mm-hmm.
because they have no choice.
Right.
But they want to keep. Now, when the Bengals got, well, it's not new now, but when it went from Front Stadium, where they imploded that and built Paul Brown Stadium,
Mm-hmm. How long ago was
we
that?
all know. If y'all know anything about me, you know how I feel about the Brown family. That's why we Bengals fans say if it's Brown, flush it down. It's been quite a few years, but I remember all the politics, all the back and forth, all of the tax increases and stuff, and that played a part into me leaving Cincinnati. A lot of people think that I left Cincinnati because I had a problem with the city or a problem with the people. No, Cincinnati has always been great to me. The people, the city itself, and I never really lived inside the city limits. I always was in a suburb, but it was great. But all of these tax hikes, and when I looked around and we didn't
They
have
do
any
that.
more.
Did they do that for the Reds when the Reds stadium? Because didn't they have their own stadium built or something?
Great American Ballpark. At the time that Great American Ballpark was being erected, I wasn't in the city, so I don't know the ins and outs of that
Oh,
because I had moved out, came back, and then I was like, "Oop, nope." Mm-mm.
because compared to back in the day where a lot of pro teams, especially baseball and football, shared stadiums, and then it became kind of the norm that cities that had both of those pro teams started building separate stadiums.
Yeah,
So
because growing up, I remember the Bengals and the Reds played at
mhm,
Riverfront,
yeah,
and then there were certain like well-known festivals that were at Riverfront.
yeah,
It was kind of like the pinnacle of you made it if you got to
yeah,
play or perform, or there were even
hmm,
schools that graduated out of Riverfront. Like that was the creme de la creme. Like you made it.
right,
Uh Dub, I see you. Dog pound these nuts. Don't nobody care about Cleveland. Only thing in Cleveland is dirt and dust and a burning river, part of the river. Like how do you set water on fire, Dub? How your city set half of the river on fire? I believe that Cleveland, Ohio is ground zero for COVID, Ebola, swine flu, and everything.
oh goodness, looking
But
up,
then, when everybody started getting separate stadiums,
yeah,
I don't know.
because
Like
who,
I get it.
yeah,
I get the concept behind it, but honestly, the vibe was different.
yeah,
And but it's like y'all still have the same staff. Because I promise you, I can go to a Bengals game.
mm,
There's a certain there's certain seats that I must have to go to a Bengals game. I'll say that because I don't need y'all walking up to me going, "Hey Taz, is that you?" No. And no, I'm not rude in person, but if I'm enjoying myself, I'm enjoying myself. Just sit down, enjoy the snack. Well, don't touch my snack. Enjoy the jokes. But I can a couple days later go to a Reds game and it'll be the same staff there. And I'm like, y'all should have just stayed in the same stadium.
yeah. They started having issues though when it came to grass and dirt or turf and dirt because football was having to play on half the field on dirt. So you used to see old pictures of them trying to get tackled and do all this and that on dirt, and then you go from dirt into turf. I think a lot of them were just getting away from that just because the upkeep of the grounds.
But I will say, when everybody just had one stadium for football
Yeah,
and baseball, the
yeah,
winter games, if you lived in a place that actually got
mm,
snow and winter, those were the most entertaining games. They were the most entertaining games. I'm not gonna lie. Because the sheer athleticism and skill, not to slide and bust your ass going across that dirt, was
Especially if it was
iconic.
especially if it was artificial, because then that thing would freeze and turn into like an ice rink.
And I'm
Because
telling y'all, if y'all Google or on YouTube, here on YouTube, if you go back and just type in random years like
yeah, that
say mid 90s, mid 1990s and back and just watch some clip and you will see some people like
that that
slide into the
that
end
bright lime
zone.
green, that bright lime green astroturf they had back in the '80s. It's like it's comparable to like the carpet you would put on your porch. I mean, it's just like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's like cement. It's hard. That's why people would get injuries from turf. I mean, you fall in that stuff. You put water on it. I mean, it was horrible for the players, but it looked good on TV because they could paint it and design it and put all this stuff
Hmm.
on, keep it bright looking. But it was horrible to play on. People got bad injuries on that stuff.
And if it rained, oh, it turned into just
Yeah,
mud
yeah,
wrestling
yeah.
because that turf would get so slippery.
Mhm.
Put it like this: the Easter basket grass. Imagine
Yeah,
playing football on Easter basket grass.
yep. You'd have to use a squeegee because that water had nowhere to go. It would just sit on there. They had to roll that thing with squeegees to push the water off.
And I didn't know until a friend of mine uh, didn't work for the Bengals, but worked with a company that was very adjacent to the Bengals. And the original, like turf, like there was nothing porous underneath there. It
Yeah,
was like they were making a jacket for the dirt. Like
yeah,
why y'all? It's
yeah,
okay for dirt to get wet. Dirt is used to getting wet.
yeah.
It's okay.
They've come a long way with the artificial grass. I'll say that much.
Yeah, and for those of y'all that don't know, baseball dirt is not the same as the dirt at the park or in your backyard. It is a
Hmm.
whole different breed. It is like a mixture of dirt and sand. It is weird. And it will clump up. And when it clumps up, and it'll clump even when dry,
Hmm.
yeah, help Jesus help them ankles. Because,
That's right. Mm. Yeah, help them Reds.
but, and I love this next clip because I love Joy Reid. You know how much I am a Joy Reid stan. She can do no wrong in my eyes. And once I say this, Joy, don't go out here acting a fool after I done said this, okay? I'm not trying to retract no statements, but I just. But on the heels of the confirmation hearings for the notorious KBJ,
Mm. Initial set.
we have oh, she is our new RBG.
Yeah.
Um, we have somebody who has some pretty heavy allegations against them, still trying to wage war. Here's what I'm talking about.
To raise their own profiles and their future ambitions. Case in point, insurrection curious Senator Josh Hawley, who spent the past few weeks attacking Judge Jackson's sentencing record, falsely accusing her of showing leniency toward sexual predators and being soft on crime. A charge laden with racial overtones that's often leveled at Black Americans, including Thurgood Marshall back in the day. Holly wrote an op-ed calling Judge Brown her so-called leniency betrayal of our democracy. However, as we peer into Holly's own record as Missouri Attorney General, we see that in 2018, he completely supported a lighter sentence for a county sheriff who pleaded guilty to charges of domestic assault and sexual abuse. Knox County Sheriff Robert Becker was accused of choking his then girlfriend with a shirt. And in a separate incident, the woman claimed that Becker orally violated her. Instead of bringing the case to trial, Hawley agreed to a plea deal in which Becker served no jail time and instead received 2 years of probation and resigned his office. Hawley praised the outcome because Becker would no longer get to wear the badge, despite the fact that Becker would not face any jail time at all. But apparently Senator Hawley doesn't believe that that is a betrayal.
It's amazing that those that have the most to say about KBJ have so many skeletons in their closet because Ted Cruz wants us to forget that he's Latino and was born in Canada. Nobody's talking about Matt Gaetz at this point.
Mm-mm.
And I saw an Instagram reel. I had to think about the network that it was on, where a gentleman was disappointed. He had auditioned to do like an online commercial, went and filmed it, got paid, but once a commercial starts to air, actors get a little bit more money in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And he was all ready to sign a deal saying that with Venmo, I'm dedicated to you. You won't see me on a Cash App commercial, no nothing. He's like, cool, this is a step in the right direction. Because of Matt Gaetz, they cannot air his commercial.
Hmm.
Because in the script, it says use Venmo to pay for minor purchases. And Matt Gaetz was using Venmo to pay for minors.
Wow. How about that? And
Because at first, when I saw the reel, I was like, huh? Like, why would that wording be problematic? And then I was like, before I ask a question, let me go to the comments because somebody could have explained it in the comment section. So I was like, oh dear Lord. And not only did somebody explain it, they linked an article and I read the article and I was like, he
that's
was
what
really
that
out here Venmoing minors for nasty time.
that's what guilt does. And
Ah, just
and
like little Miss Zoe Kravitz should have kept her mouth shut on Twitter because she's being outed for why she has a problem with Will Smith and the Smith family. I did not know that not only did she do this in private, but she gave an interview, a very public interview, talking about her attraction to then 14-year-old 14-year-old Jaden Smith, and she was a fully grown woman.
what?
About she has to watch what she says and does around him. Never have I ever in my entire life looked at a minor and said, I got to watch what I say and do around you. Not in that manner. Now, have I been conscious of what I'm saying and doing because children are around? Yes, because I don't want to be a bad influence to somebody else's child.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to adhere to the rules of the parents. But that's
I didn't know. I didn't know about that one.
I didn't know either.
Mm.
Like I said, I had a series of meetings today, and if y'all followed me for a while, y'all know I do not like meetings. I don't care if they're face to face or virtual, because generally I am requested to join these meetings, and the first 45 minutes of the meeting have nothing to do with me, so I'm just stuck sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, it was over Zoom, so I could mute myself and cut off the camera, and I just decided to fiddle around on Twitter. And yeah, I'm like, some folks should have just kept their mouth shut. Urbane, what are you doing? You are worse than a toddler.
Still waiting on your daughter.
Pretty much. She'll be here Sunday. He knows the schedule. I mean, we did throw the schedule off a little bit this past week because we got together on Saturday to celebrate her birthday. But he knows everybody's here every Sunday. She many crickets.
Yeah, where is his
But
calendar?
I'm about to get a calendar and put it on the refrigerator
Mm-hmm.
because he tripping.
No, you just need to put it at the window because that's where he's at.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah. Once he figured out he was tall enough to look out the window, that's just where he sits. He is the neighborhood Karen. Lord have
Mm-hmm.
mercy. But let's run this ad and just to let you all know, you have today and tomorrow for the current discount code. There will be a new promo starting April 1st and a new discount code. Hopefully, if I can get the last line uploaded because the servers for the site that I use have just been janky. And yes, I know how to fix them before y'all get in the comment section going, Taz, I thought you work in IT. Yes, I know how to fix them, but I'm not contracted by this company and I don't need them coming and the FBI kicking through my door because I did something that I wasn't supposed to do.
And
Okay, so I just have to have patience.
And there's the answer.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta have it. Boy, get away from the.
When something gets janky, it gets janky.
Yep. We'll see y'all in 2 and 2.
It looks like you lost another one.
All right, all right, all right. Coming from from the AP.
What?
Okay, little background information. Y'all know that I keep notes in the note section of a specific iPad for each show. But when y'all send me articles, sometimes the name of the publication is up at the top, sometimes it's in the middle, and then sometimes it's at the bottom. In this instance, it's at the bottom. That's why I was like, coming from where is it? It's all the way at the bottom.
Coming from the Commonwealth.
Sorry. Okay. No more giggles. No more giggles. This is a serious matter. Okay. So finally,
We're always serious.
Biden signs bill making lynching a federal hate crime. Presidents typically say a few words before they turn legislation into law, but Joe Biden flipped the script Tuesday when it came time to put his signature on the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. He signed the bill at a desk in the White House Rose Garden. Then he spoke. All right, it's law, said the president, who was surrounded by Vice President Kamala Harris, members of Congress, and top Justice Department officials. He was also joined by a descendant of Ida B. Wells, a black journalist who reported on lynchings, and Reverend Wheeler Parker, a cousin of Till. Okay, quick. Y'all know, I'm gonna fight you. But quick history nugget, because y'all know I can't help myself when it comes to history. It's also incredibly important that a descendant of Ida B. Wells was there because she was a part of the Black Congress. If you don't know what the Black Congress is, Google is free. Or come to my Saturday classes and then you'll know. So her service to FDR and her friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt has come full circle because this is one of the things that Ida B. Wells Barnett, let's put her full name out there, Ida B. Wells Barnett, fought for. So for finally to come to fruition, even though it is many, many moons past her life, is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have this anti-lynching bill, seeing how Miss Carolyn Bryant admitted to lying about the circumstances that led to the torture and death a 14-year-old Emmett Till? Can we go round her up so she can stop shucking and jiving and chuckling all over Facebook and finally get justice for that family?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because if we can still round up Nazi soldiers, Nazi sympathizers, and try them for war crimes, why can we not get justice for black people in the United States?
Absolutely.
Oh, did y'all think I wasn't going to say that? You must be new here. And now, we got one more clip, and then we got to get into some January 6th shenanigans. And yes, these January 6th shenanigans
Are
does involve Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Jenny
oh
Thomas,
wow.
who already admitted that she felt politically and career-wise stifled because of her husband's position on the Supreme Court. And I'm like, sweetheart, he was
He,
already on the Supreme Court when you got with it. Like, but anywho, here's one clip before we
he's in the
get
queue.
into the January 6th shenanigans.
He's in.
When the cops brutalize someone, who coaches them on how to cover their own behinds? Let's take you behind the scenes where this city's cops get coached to twist the truth and convince you they're not killers and use your tax dollars. California police have a secret weapon. Not a new helicopter or gun, but a PR firm called Cole Pro Media. It's why the police have so frequently been able to slide out of sticky situations. We take great pride in our ability to communicate transparent, easily understood messages about our clients without spin, the firm claims. But like the police departments they train, they're making a statement far from the honest truth. From crafting social media posts to editing body cam footage to include only sympathetic points of view, Cole Pro Media and its sister company, Critical Incident Videos, quote, help law enforcement agencies avoid scrutiny and transparency, end quote. They even draft scripts for the police to excuse their use of force to the public. And speaking of the public, this affects you too, or rather, your wallet. Each time Cole Pro Media contracts with a law enforcement agency, they're charging the police departments. Those are our tax dollars going to help cops avoid responsibility. Edited body camera footage can cost $5,000 per video. While facing the brunt of their brutality, police are using our money to manipulate narratives about themselves in the media. But we don't have to listen to their sources or their stories. We do have to think critically for ourselves. The manipulation is happening right under our noses. Share this story and follow We Are Push Black for more Black history. Peace, y'all.
And just to let you know, Push Black is on Instagram and Facebook as well. If you do not have TikTok, I'm not sure if they have a Twitter account, but I have followed them on Facebook for quite a while now, and they do have a lovely feature where if you're not on Facebook as much like I am, they will send you pertinent stories to your inbox. It's really great. It's really amazing. So if you want to keep up on things and know what's going on, and they cover a variety of topics, not just dealing with black people, but predominantly black people because it's a black company. But it's really cool to stay in the know. But for everybody that is so fervently black, back the blue lives matter. First of all, they are not avatars or smurfs of the inbred incestuous blue people of the Kentucky Hills. Yes, they are real. Um, if you have nothing to hide, you don't need to lie. Are there good, true, honest people who have PR representation? Yes, I used to be that PR person for good people like that because some people are not good at communicating with the public well. Some people get caught up in the moment and will say something that will implicate themselves in something that they didn't do. I'm taking that into account. But when you have to edit evidence to the public, when you're scripting a whole speech instead of telling someone, hey, if you start to feel nervous or uncomfortable, just say no comment and walk off, there's a problem. And instead of fixing the problem, they're continuing. They're not even putting a band-aid on it. They're putting up the Wizard of Oz curtain and telling us to believe that PP is lemonade.
To me, I take it, and I deal with law enforcement. Um, Whenever there's something that you're handling, everybody knows that there's incident reports that are done. Usually you want to make an incident report as concise as possible because it could end up in court being used for whatever evidence, for whatever narrative to the situation. A video paints a narrative. A video backs up what is stated in a report. You got the two supposedly working hand in hand. If you're editing one, you're editing the other. So the fact that you don't usually edit something that you feel confident about, like I put this thing together well, this is as accurate as possible to what occurred, who was involved, everyone else, etc. To edit a video, and we saw how much that would cost in this case. Yeah, every department has different budgets. Not everyone could afford to edit. So we're talking about cities or towns of a certain size and budget. But the fact that you're not editing it to make it look pretty. Nobody edits something to make it look pretty. You're editing something because you know good and well what's on there, just like you would in your report. So you're editing everything to work hand in hand. And then at the end, everyone's in agreement. Okay, this is the final copy, everybody. We're all good? Yep. Okay, we're going to submit it. This cost is going to save us what could amount to even more money down the road in court. So to them...
And my thing is, I need to change my prices, because if folks out here editing videos for $5,000, I am severely underpriced.
I mean, are these videos including music now? Or are they including a theme song? Because to me, it's kind of like in the old days. Well, not the old days, because we've had corruption throughout the decades of different forms. Whether there were corrupt cops handling, drugs behind the scenes or whatever. We're in the age of video now, so video is evidence. We know that. We know people can turn on their phones, snap a video, and take whatever they want, and you're going to counter that with, hopefully you're looking around. Nowadays, I'm guessing when police are handling a situation, they're looking around. They're looking around to see who is within eye view and possibly has something in their hand like a phone, because video can be damning. Because they can't counter that even with the edited video. You're going to have a video pop up, somewhere, somehow, on CNN or somewhere, and it's going to counter whatever they have submitted. And theirs are going to look highly edited because there's going to be inconsistencies with the flow of the video. There's always going to be a flow that you'd have to look at, that this thing is not flowing the way something live would have been taken. It's just another form because of the era we're in. Before, they were dealing with how to cover up, with corrupt cops taking drugs busts and taking dirty money under the table. Well, now we live in an era where we got internet, cell phones, it's just how they're adapting to technology. And people doing videos for the police department, highly profitable, of course. The 5,000 is nothing compared to a lawsuit that they lose.
And I was almost tempted, because I'm the gadget queen. I am the resident Sheldon of all of my friend groups, and I talked myself out of it. Purchased some glasses today with a built-in camera and speakers for when I'm driving, simply because of where I live and the amount of activities I'm involved with as far as activism, protests, and things like that. And I stopped myself. And the only reason I stopped myself, because yes, that would be a great tool of protection for me, because I've seen far too many videos with cops trying to tell people it's illegal to video them and all that other stuff. It is not. And I've thought about situations where I may not be able to reach for my phone at that time. But what stopped me is my respect for other people's privacy. Because even though I wouldn't just put arbitrary footage on the internet or whatever, you don't know that I'm recording you if I have those glasses on.
Now, let me ask you this. Are those glasses Stark Industries?
They did look very Tony Starkish. That's another
There's
reason why I wanted them.
that's the first thing that came to mind was Tony Stark.
They do look like the Tony Stark glasses from the movie. Yeah, and that was what caught my attention because
Yes.
I was originally going to get them like to add to like my collection of action figures and memorabilia,
hmm
and then I was like, oh no, these are fully functioning. Like this isn't a collector's item. This is like real technology. And then the tech geek in me was like,
You'd be
I could
like,
do so many things with that.
Jarvis, Jarvis, are you getting this?
Right. So, but then I thought about the privacy of just random individuals that I could come in contact with, even though I would immediately delete the footage. I just feel like it's intrusive and a little disrespectful because these people wouldn't know that they're being recorded.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to do that. I really
But we
just,
know on the flip side of those that are dirty that, yeah, they wouldn't want to be recorded. But we know that there are, and we both know others that deal with many good men and women in the blue that are doing their job. This is their career, and they're doing it to what they swore to. So yeah, we know that there's both sides to that coin, but I get what you're saying as far as this could go in a different area.
yeah, I just don't want to, I don't want to be that person that makes anybody even indirectly feel violated, their privacy violated. Because just because you're in my company does not mean that, like, I have a relative that I stopped going to their house because the last time I went to their house, they didn't tell any of us that they had installed internal cameras.
hmm
I don't care where you hide them. I get their reasoning behind it, but let me know. It doesn't mean that I have something to hide, but let me know I'm on camera. So if anything should happen and I get a call from the cops like, hey, we saw that you were there and blah, 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 blah happens, I understand why
hmm
the cops are calling me. I have an understanding. And I'm like, nah, that, because I have another sibling who just has external cameras, but he made a point of calling me to tell me he has external cameras. Cool, great. And you know this, Chris, the rest of the world doesn't. But my siblings and I are very immature with each other. We still have slumber parties and sleepovers, and we get together and do this stuff. I don't want to be walking around in my jammies on camera.
Geek
And
Squad.
before y'all go, Taz, you've done shows in your jammies. Those are pajamas. Those are jammies that I bought specifically for like Freeform Fridays or when we do the viewing parties for me to be on camera. That ain't the jammies that I wear around my family.
Original Geek Squad.
But
Nerd Patrol. We're gonna call them Nerd
oh,
Patrol.
yeah. Real quick side note. From Newsbreak, federal investigation of Hunter Biden heats up. They're still looking into his business practices and all that good stuff because why not? And then also from Newsbreak, it's been revealed that on January 6th, Trump used the White House phone because Trump also admitted he didn't know what a burner phone was. Jesus. He knows what a depends is because he poopies on himself on the regular, but I digress.
It wasn't the
Trump
red.
used White House phone, yeah, for a call on January 6th that was not placed into the official log. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes. Oh, also, real quick,
I'm sure he wasn't thinking he was calling Gotham City.
ain't nobody from Gotham City except for the Joker and the Penguin answered his call. There was, of course, it's Texas. A Texas teacher settles lawsuit, and this is coming from NBC News. Texas teacher settles lawsuit with student he forced to write out the Pledge of Allegiance. This, first of all, you cannot, and as a former educator and coach within the high school level, you can't force kids to do what they want to do. If they respectfully bow out, you can't do it. And this teacher had to check over $90,000. But let's get into the crux of this. Miss Jeannie, aka Virginia Thomas, the second wife of Clarence Thomas, because when he was married to the first wife, he was going for racial equality and equity, and then he got with this QAnon douche
I think
noodle. Well,
she's
you all,
she's a Marjorie buddy. At this,
whew, yeah, oh, yeah. Let's roll this clip because the article after this clip, yeah.
The most important thing that you can realize right now is that there are no rules in war. But leave it to Jenny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, to say those words to Mark Meadows in an effort to overturn the results of a free American election. Clarence Thomas not only did not recuse himself from the case that did land before the Supreme Court because of his wife's involvement, he voted in Donald Trump's favor. He was the only justice to vote in Donald Trump's favor. Virginia Thomas urged White House chief to pursue unrelenting efforts to overturn the 2020 election, texts show. The messages reveal an extraordinary pipeline between Virginia Thomas and President Donald Trump's top aide during a period when Trump and his allies were vowing to go to the Supreme Court in an effort to negate the election results. If there was ever a justification for impeachment of a sitting associate justice on the Supreme Court, this is it.
all right.
And coming from the New Yorker, legal scholars are shocked by Ginny Thomas's Stop the Steal text. Several experts say that Thomas's husband, the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, must recuse himself from any case related to the 2020 election. Several of the country's most respected legal scholars say that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas must immediately recuse himself from any cases relating to the 2020 election and its aftermath, now that it has been revealed that his wife, Virginia Ginny Thomas, colluded extensively with top White House advisor about overturning Joe Biden's victory over then President Trump. On March 24th, the Washington Post and CBS News revealed that they had obtained copies of 29 text messages. 29?
29.
Bitch, that's crazy harassing ex-girlfriend numbers. Okay, but let's carry on. Text messages between Ginny Thomas and Mark Meadows, the Trump White House chief of staff, in which she militated relentlessly for invalidating the results of the presidential election, which she described as an obvious fraud. It was necessary, she told Meadows, to release the Kraken and save us from the left taking America down. Jenny Thomas's text to Meadows also referred to conversations that she'd had with Jared, possibly Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who also served as a senior advisor to the administration. Just forwarded to your email, an email I sent Jared this AM. Stephen Gillers, a law professor at NYU and a prominent judicial ethicist, described the revelations as a game changer. In the past, he explained, he had supported the notion that a justice and his spouse could pursue their interests in autonomous spheres. For that reason, I was prepared to and did tolerate a great deal of Jenny's political activism, he said. But Jenny has now crossed the line. In an email reacting to the text, Gillers concluded, Clarence Thomas cannot sit on any matter involving the election, the invasion of the Capitol, or work of the January 6th committee.
Okay.
Real quick, there's a part of me that thinks that this became public because she wanted it to become public because, like I said, previously there was an article that came out where she said she felt stifled by her husband's appointment. And if she can get him sat down, she wanted to run for Congress, but she realized she can't as the spouse of a justice.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if she cared as much about that as she did about the space lasers burning forests in California. Because she's clearly a Q.
Oh, she's definitively
is
a
it
Q.
Jenny Karen Thomas? Because I'm wondering if Karen's a middle name.
And according to the Daily Mail UK, AOC calls for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas to resign over his wife Jenny's text on overturning the election, while Democrats demand the court ask him to recuse himself from all Capitol riot cases. Here are the cliff notes. AOC said that if Thomas does not resign, he should be impeached. She cited his failure to recuse himself from January 6 cases, failure to disclose his wife's income from conservative groups. She also cited his lone vote to block January 6 committee from obtaining Trump White House documents. And in a series of 29 messages following Trump's loss, the conservative activist Jenny Thomas repeatedly asked Mark Meadows to work to overturn the election results. Democrat Senator Cory Booker and Amy Klobuchar both called on Clarence Thomas to recuse himself from January 6 cases and 2024 cases on Sunday. Senator Josh Hawley suggested it was kind of misogynistic to ask Thomas to recuse himself. I need people, look, stop hearing words on the internet and just misusing them.
I mean, look where they're coming from. I mean, it's always the same. It's always the usual suspects, the same suspects.
Like, it's misogynistic to ask a man to step down. Like, y'all need to learn the definitions of words.
Are they going to go back to talking about the racist baby books? I mean, come on.
And you know, him doing that caused all of the book sales to spike.
That's what they do.
People are selling out everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And they're worried about an basically an overqualified appointment of another judge here. Wow, if they had somebody on their side in the Supreme Court that had a nice resume, show it, because they're like we talked about before. They have their own source that they pluck from the tree to put their candidates in. They got their big donors. So are we surprised at this? Not really, knowing where anyone on the right has been and the groups that
and the organization that Jenny Thomas created.
They go to, the elbows they rub, the cookouts they go and hang around people. Not surprised.
They ain't going to cookouts, they going to picnics. But the organization that Jenny Thomas co-founded and heads up is so riddled with conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say the name of the organization here, because as soon as you say their name, they're like Candyman. They want to pop up on your account to get you canceled because you can't tell the truth about them. But it's utterly, utterly ridiculous. And she seems to pride herself on using her husband's connections to get as close to the craziest, most conservative, most evangelical people ever.
Yeah.
Just to deplete other people.
Well, she wants her own brand.
Oh, she definitely does.
I mean, she clearly. I mean, it's like Marjorie. Marjorie doesn't care if she exits stage left in whatever time she's due to run again, because she's building her brand. She's building donor money.
Marjorie. Let's not forget, Marjorie moved. Mm-hmm. Marjorie moved, changed her whole residence in order to go to a place where she knew the voters had the right complexion that would vote her in. Mm-hmm. But before we close for the evening, Arizona, be on high alert. From Newsbreak, Arizona governor to test federal courts with proof of citizenship voting rule. He signed this into legislation earlier today to reestablish proof of citizenship voting requirements, setting up a showdown with courts that have said a previous version of the election rule violated federal law. The bill passed by the Republican-controlled legislature puts an onus on election workers and voters to validate if they are citizens. If y'all think that the GOP is so right, ask yourself why they are doing any and everything to continuously suppress the vote, and especially suppress the votes of Black and brown people. Because if they're so great, because conservatives' argument is, well, what have the Democrats done for you? The Democrats nor the Republicans have done nothing for anybody. We know this, okay? We're not stupid. But one thing the Democrats aren't doing currently, since the party switch, is continuously trying to stifle our voices and trying to convince us to vote against our own best interests.
Yeah, because they know.
Like, y'all weird.
Well, they know that they looked at why they were losing. They looked at not wanting or caring about how to get voters that were either independent, on the fence. They're just looking at how can we turn the tables? How can we make it tough, impossible, hard, whatever, for people to vote? We don't care if it's affecting, seniors or those with disabilities, or those overseas. They're just looking at, how can we just turn the tables, because we know we're not going to get those votes. We've seen this country is getting more and more diverse. They're leaning a lot more left. We can't get those. They really don't want to curve any of their thinking to try and say, well, maybe we could do things that would they would benefit from. No, they're not changing their ways. They're staying to their ground. They're staying, as a loyal pack on the far right loony bins, and saying, look, we're going down with the queue, and this is what we're going to do. And anyone that doesn't want to jump aboard the ship, you're out of here. Liz Cheney, you're out of here. Everybody that wants to be a moderate on the right, you're out of here. So, yeah, this is where they're going. They're sticking their ground. It doesn't mean that they don't talk differently off camera or behind closed doors, but everything that's public and everything that has to do with the American people, yeah, they're sticking their ground too. So
They definitely are.
Yep.
But your final thoughts on tonight?
Tonight was awesome. That's because we're awesome. Aside from that, I know lately we've had, and I'm going back to the January 6th committee. I know this past week we had two more. They held the case for what's his name, the loony bin that got on. One of the advisors that literally confessed to the plot.
Oh yeah. And there's one guy that's currently on the run.
Yeah, there's two of them that they're didn't want to show up, tried to turn their rear end to the committee. And my thought for tonight is I'm not gonna keep going to the right. I'm gonna keep talking about what I feel Merrick Garland needs to do. And I really feel that the DOJ, that doesn't need the committee, can move forward. Like we keep saying all the time, the clock is ticking. The ones on the right, they're doing all they can to get this momentum going so that this whole thing can go into thin air if they take control. The clock is running, people. This is stuff that's going to repeat if it's not handled this time around. Because next time around, they will study and they will learn how can we go around this, because we're giving them the blueprint. They're looking at all the things that we're pointing out. If they're not held accountable, this is a blueprint for them on how they can fix that. And then we're really up the creek, and we'll all head probably to Canada or somewhere else, because it won't be a friendly place for many people. But I think that the DOJ, aside from the committee trying to get more things public, the clock's ticking. They need to ramp things up ASAP.
I 100% agree.
Yes.
I don't know if you all know who Jonathan Pollock is, but if you have information on him or you see him, do not approach him, but contact the FBI. They have $15,000 for you. And this is Mr. Pollock. He was involved with the January 6th insurrection, and he is now currently on the run. So go ahead, forget a PPE loan, forget any checks from the government. Go ahead and get you a cool $15,000 for turning in a treasonous bastard. And with that, those are my final thoughts. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. I will see you all tomorrow.
Be safe.